we'll start with the approval of the minutes from August 23rd. Is everybody okay with the minute?
Very, very short.
Yeah, minutes are approved for August 23rd, and then we'll just move on to our one item, which is 3A, the full-time council. And Councilmember Lawson, do you want to go ahead and present on that?
Sure. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, and thank members of the committee. The item that I'm bringing forward today is in regards to Article 3, Section 3-6 of the Charter. And this is on council salaries. I'm bringing forth to increase the salaries to where we could have a full-time council. Now, I've been working on this for 2 years. So I've been kind of gathering data, kind of getting the pros and cons of this. And I'm bringing it forward through the committee, and for several reasons, the reasons why I'm bringing this forth. Number one is that as our city is growing, we're having more complex problems and issues that we have to address. And there's more constituency services that are that we as council members have to address. And I think with all of the things that the city's doing in terms of growth and population, it's expanding constituency services. And the expectation from our residents is that we are available and that we actually have more insight on what's going on in and around our city. Secondly, the reason I'm bringing this forth as well is that you know, in the 7 years that I've been on council, I have seen just an increase, like I said, in issues that we have to deal with. And it's not just sending in a council request. A lot of us have to go out, and we all do this, go out and talk to constituents, whether it's one-on-one in a group, and it goes even beyond town halls. It goes beyond having people come to the city council meetings to speak. Sometimes we have to go to them to understand the complexity of the issue that we're addressing. And then lastly, I think, you know, I know this is taxpayer dollars, and I've gotten some feedback, this is taxpayer dollars. Well, that's why it would be, I'm trying to see if the council would approve to move it to a ballot question and let the voters decide if we should be a full-time council. And I think that with all of the things that we're doing in the city, the complexity of what we're going to be dealing with, and as our city is growing, we need to really consider this proposal. And in addition, you know, I know that everybody has different priorities. Some people work full time, some people have businesses, some people have different things that they're experiencing or whatever they're dealing with, and they, you know, to be on the council. But I think we're losing out on some potential people really running for council because some people can't live off of this income that we make. They just can't. I mean, it's just not unless, you know, you have other conditions that allow you to do so. So I think that that's really important to look for as we're looking into the future, you know, for people who want to run for council. To let them have a decision about if they want to be on the council and participate in the process. Now, I did not provide in the backup information the actual ordinance that I worked on, and it's in a draft form, but this does not have any kind of moonlighting provision. So if a individual still wants to keep their job, if they still want to, you know, do everything that they're doing, they have that. This is not saying that you are mandated to, you know, just be on council. That's that's up to what you're experiencing and what you're dealing with. It does not have a moonlighting provision. So a person can work another job if they choose to do so, and also fulfill the council requirements. And same with your own businesses, that's kind of up to your own discretionary. So it does not have a moonlighting provision in here, and it does allow people to have other jobs if they see fit to do so. So I'm bringing this forward. In your backup, what you have is some additional information. This was comparative charts information. It wasn't really anything that we could really compare citywide, because Denver is a city and county, and I'm definitely not trying to get to what their pay range is. I think the Arapahoe commissioners was one that actually changed over to full-time, and I'm not sure how long ago that was. So what you have in your backup is comparatives of different you know, outside of the city, city forms of management forms of government, and also cities that compare to our size. My thought too was, and something that this is Councilmember Marcano brought this up to me, is looking at the wages that are in the city of Aurora specifically, and how we can compare those roles of what we do to council to the wages that are made in the city of Aurora as another option, to maybe looking at the pay range that we can choose for the actual ballot language that would be in this ordinance. So that's all I have for now, and the reasons why I'm bringing it forward. And I guess my question for this committee, and then we'll take questions and then move forward with the question that I'm asking, is to ask the committee if they would they support moving this forward to a future study session? And it's not going to be this year, but probably within the next year, to be put on the ballot for maybe 2023. And the initiation date of this, if it did go through, it wouldn't be effective until January 1st, 2027. And the reason why is you can't have some people being on, you know, getting one pay range and another. So that is the ask of the committee. That's the reasons I'm bringing it forth. I do have Ryan here from HR to kind of go through some of the comparables, if there's certain questions about the compensation, and if there's any questions for me as well. I will be able to address those.
Okay, and I'll open it up for questions.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Yes, Councilmember Marcano.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Councilmember Lawson, for bringing this forward. I do have a question with regards to the process. Were you gonna bring this to like the public hearing process that we discussed for all of those things? I didn't hear you mention that.
Yes, and I'm sorry, Councilmember Marcano, I probably should have asked about that. I wasn't at the last meeting. I guess this would go to the hearing first and then to a study session. I didn't really understand. I didn't know what the process was. So if that's what it needs to do, that's what I'm asking for. So then maybe I need to revert back to my question to see if the committee would approve this going to the hearing first.
Okay, so I have a question on that. So, because you said you were not going to bring it forward until the study session in 2023.
It would be for a future study session. The date has to be determined, but I'm looking at 2023.
2023. Okay, and then effective January 2027. And I guess you're thinking that way. Anybody who's currently on council transitioning would not have to, you know, leave council if they. So I guess that makes sense. And then we haven't decided on when the public hearing would be, but I guess Councilmember Marcano, do you have things that you're also bringing to the public hearing?
No, ma'am. I've gotten the ones that I wanted to bring forward at this point. We've already had that discussion.
Okay, and then I can't remember if Councilmember Coombs is bringing forward the committee one to the public hearing or not.
So I don't think that was meant to be a public hearing. I think that was meant to be a study session because it's creating a citizens ad hoc,
right.
basically.
Right. Okay.
So,
okay.
yeah.
So clear on that as well. Any further questions or discussion? So I have something, and I know we're not Denver is a city and a county, so obviously they have way more responsibilities than we do, being that they would be over. It's kind of like Arapahoe County and Adams County, where they have responsibility over departments. Mm-hmm. And for a city manager form of government, which compares, I kind of look, you know, I guess with Phoenix, Dallas, San Antonio, so actually cities that are even larger than us. My concern is, I guess it does exclude professionals and owners of businesses from running for council, because you can't have a full-time position with let's say with a company, and then be full-time with council. So it does exclude that population, and I think there's a lot of value to what we've seen, you know, with a mix of this council. You know, I'm retired. You've got people working full-time, you have people working part-time. I think it's a really good mix. And I say that because we come from all different backgrounds and experience levels, and those that are, you know, possibly in a full-time position, they bring also kind of the current, what's going on with business and that experience. So what are your thoughts about that? Because you are excluding, you know, you can't say to your employer, hey, I'm going to work full-time for you, but don't worry, I'm going to work full-time for council, because it's going to overlap.
Well, Councilmember Mayor Pro Tem, so I mean, there's a lot of us right now that are in full-time positions. And we're already having to negotiate that anyway. I understand some employers may say it's part-time, but are we really part-time? I mean, I understand what you're saying, but I mean, I think you're gonna have to negotiate that anyway. I don't think it's excluding anything from anybody. A lot of us are already doing the work. We have to have those conversations with our employer anyway. And right now, either you're gonna, I mean, a lot of the work that we're all doing, to me, it encompasses full time. I mean, we're on policy committees, we're on external policy committees, we have town halls, we have events, we have, you know, reach out to constituents. And I guess right now, I guess it's what you put in, you know, what people are putting into it, to be very honest. It's
Well,
what
yeah,
you're
I mean, we have some people that are not
Yeah,
serving on outside boards at all.
right,
Um,
right.
But, you
So-
know, I guess from my perspective, you and I were both elected in 2015. That's what we signed up for, was to be on policy committees, to be on outside boards, to be, you know, constituent services, to attend council meetings. So that hasn't changed. I think, yes, maybe the volume a little bit, but I think, you know, there's the at-large and then there's the ward council members. Typically, I mean, not everybody probably does it the same way, but ward council members typically take on constituent concerns. I know for my area, I always tell at-large, please, you know, let me handle it first. If I need assistance, you know, then I go to an at-large, or if I'm you know, on vacation or something like that. But for the most part, I mean, I take on the constituent work. So I haven't seen that it really affects people's workload tremendously. I think it's been the same over the time frame. Sometimes you work more hours, sometimes less hours.
Okay, well, Mayor Pro Tem, I know that you, and I appreciate your comment and respect that.
Yeah.
And I understand, I know what my workload is, and I know how many council requests and also stuff I do that the public doesn't even know about. When I'm meeting with people, that's not all, you know, I do a lot of stuff in all of the wards in meeting with people. And it goes beyond just submitting the council requests. I'm talking about additional workload.
Oh, yeah.
So, you know, I understand what you're saying as well, but we're growing as a city. Constituent services and the actual response that people want to hear from us, I think that's going to only increase. And I understand what you're saying about employers. I think right now people are limited. I tell people who want to run for office now, you may want to shadow a council member, not just the wards, but a lot of council members, to see kind of what their day in life is. Because when you get on this council, it's not just getting on the dais Monday nights. This is about a lot of other things that I think a lot of people don't know about until they get into the job. So,
Right.
and I understand about, but also I think we are also leaving out some people, some individuals who also bring a breath of fresh air to, or maybe some different perspectives to council that can't do it, but want to do it, but can't do it either. So to me, it's kind of apples and oranges. You know, working full time, I understand you have to tell your employer that, and there's just some things you just can't go to, period. I mean, that's just the way it is. But I also think, and we do have a breadth of perspectives from business owners, from people coming from different parts of, you know, different parts of the work world. But I also think we're leaving out some people too that want to do this work and are true public servants, but just can't because they can't afford to do it. Like they can't do it, but they can bring in some different perspectives. And I think that we should be looking at the future of Aurora City Council and not just what we're dealing with on this council right now, because we're not going to be on here forever.
Any further discussion?
Mayor Pro Tem.
Yeah, go ahead, Councilmember Marcano.
Thank you. I just wanted to add in and echo a lot of what Councilmember Lawson said. So when I ran for this position in 2019, originally I thought naively that I was going to be able to keep my day job. and serve. And, I worked out with my employer at the time that, if I could just have basically every other Monday off, and a little bit of flexibility whenever our policy committee schedules get set, that I think I could make it work. And honestly, I ended up actually leaving that job in September because I wasn't even going to be able to get elected with how demanding the architecture and engineering industry is. So I took a bit of a gamble, and discussed with my wife, what would life look like if I took, just like what effectively our stipend from council, plus her salary. So I took about a $50,000 pay cut to serve, but knowing that this is something that we both thought was important and that I really wanted to do. That was a tremendous privilege. So it's a tremendous privilege to be able to make that kind of financial decision on, frankly, what is a gamble almost, of running for office. And then a tremendous privilege to be able to, on top of the tremendous privilege of being able to serve to begin with. So I think what Councilmember Lawson is doing here is ensuring that people don't have to make those kinds of decisions, because that might preclude, like if I were single, for example, that would have precluded me completely from serving because I wouldn't earn enough money to even keep myself housed right now. And with how demanding the industry that I worked in previously is, there's no chance that I could, split my time and do either position effectively. I think Mayor Pro Tem, you and I are the only two that basically do full-time council. So like, we take house calls, we return calls sometimes late in the evening. We meet with, constituents, groups, etc. But many of our colleagues are not able to do that. I know I've picked up extra slack on policy committees, on, I guess, intergovernmental and quasi-governmental boards as well, because I have the flexibility to do that and still, ensure that I'm responding to my constituents and doing all the reading that we have to do. My goodness. So, I think that our city has changed, and I think it's important to, recognize that the current structure and really the pay rates, with very little exception, I think they were changed in 2017 or 2019. I can't remember which. I think 2017, if memory serves. All of that was decided in basically 61 years ago. And our city back then was smaller than the city of Inglewood is today. So it was like, I think, 48,000 people. So any one of our wards is bigger than that now. So I'm supportive of what Councilmember Lawson is trying to do here. I mean, obviously, ultimately, it's going to be up to our constituents, to decide if they think that this is something that they need. But, I know that several of our colleagues, they have businesses to manage. They have other jobs that are very, very intensive. This wouldn't preclude them from serving, because ultimately, at the end of the day, you don't have one boss who's going to evaluate you and see if you're worth the salary. You have, 60 or 70,000. So it depends on the quality of service you're providing them. But I think that letting, more people, or as many people as possible, step up to serve without having to be in a position of financial privilege, I think it's a step in the right direction for the city. So it's my long 2 cents.
I mean, I understand that. I think it changes the dynamic drastically. I don't know if there's any kind of hybrid to do in this situation, but I think you are going to cut out, people that are professionals, that their employer is going to be one or the other. They don't mind the flexibility of the part-time council, and you can make it work, as a part-time, it's what you put into it. But, it's public service. I mean, we didn't run to make a full-time salary. We didn't run to be comparable to the marketplace. That's the private market. We ran to be public servants. And I guess I'm just concerned it will change the composition, the diversity of experience and so forth on the council. You're going to end up with basically probably either younger people that can afford the 50,000, 60,000, whatever it is that's being proposed, or you're going to end up with retirees, and I think you miss that other segment. So I don't know if there's another way to do this besides one, that everybody is full time. And I guess, Councilmember Lawson, you mentioned the moonlighting thing, but moonlighting means you're allowed to have another job, but that is, so yay, I run for council, I get elected, I'm allowed to moonlight, but that doesn't address the person that has a full-time job and would like to be a public servant and serve, because many employers are going to be like, no way.
Well, every employer, if you work for an employer, I don't know what other people are doing, but you have to be very upfront with them from the beginning. Before I even started council, I had to be upfront with my employer about what I wanted to do. And it wasn't about this being a part-time council. What it was about was the partisanship about it. So that was for me, the partisanship about what the office was, because it was working for elected official. So, but the person, I had to have those conversations. And if it was, and then I had to make that choice, okay, based on what my employer said and looking at my living what I'm dealing with, and to make that choice, I would run for council. I don't really understand your idea about excluding professional people. If people right now, I don't, all of us, and I'm looking at all of us. Can I just finish, Mayor Pro Tem? I always get interrupted.
I was going to ask. No,
I always get interrupted by everybody, but I just like to finish my thought, please.
Okay.
Right now, you say, I've heard you even say, oh, we do so much work. We don't know what each other does, but I can guarantee you that we're doing well over probably 40 hours a week. I can guarantee each of us, whether you're a ward council member or maybe, maybe a less. But when you're looking at everything you have to do and everything in the constituency services, which sometimes go beyond just, like I said, submitting a council request, meeting with a constituent one-on-one at night or whatever you have to do, that is going beyond a lot of things and the expectations that are expected of us to be there to listen and to understand and to go out. I think we have to look at the future of the growth of the city of Aurora. And I don't really think it's going to change the dynamic. I just think it gives us maybe more people who will probably participate in the process because they'll have a choice or an option. Either they want to keep both of their jobs or whatever they're doing with their businesses, or they can do council. And I think this is what it's up to the voters. If the voters say no, then the voters say no, but we haven't even given this an opportunity to see what the voters would say. And I know some voters have come up to me and said, I don't see how you guys do it. When they see our meetings, when they see people working and they see all this stuff that we do, I think it's up to the voters to make that decision if council chooses to do so. To put this on a ballot, to let them decide, hey, do I want to invest in the council, in our leadership for a full-time council and raise the pay? I'm not saying raise it to city and county of Denver. We're definitely different than that. But right now, I think it gives us to look towards the future and also give the voters an opportunity to make the decision about their investment in their city leaders. And I don't really think it changes the dynamic. What I think it brings in is maybe more people, like you said, people from different workforces, people from different places, people who come maybe from a more broader perspective, and that can bring insight into the council and the future of Aurora.
So my question though is, even when in your position with Secretary of State, if your employer said, I need you to be at these meetings on this day, could you say, no, I'm so sorry, I have policy committee meetings and I have council meetings, so I won't be able to do my job?
Of course not.
Right.
If I had to be somewhere, I had to be somewhere. But I think what you're trying to do.
If I can finish my thought now.
Okay, sorry.
That's what I'm trying to point out is if you have an employer, their expectation is they're not going to pay you, $70, $80, $100,000 so that you don't do your job 100%. That, they expect you to do your job 100%. So currently they know there's flexibility because it's part-time. But if an employer expects someone to be there 100%, and then you're like, well, I'm also going to be doing this other job 100% full-time, I think there is a complete disconnect there. I don't think they're going to be agreeable. So, I mean, I could do a poll. with corporations, but I doubt somebody is going to want to have somebody working a full-time job over here and a full-time job over here, especially because it's not like the full-time job is at night and weekends only. As you know, we work during the day as well. That was my point.
And Councilmember Mayor Pro Tem Bergan, I understand that as well. And I think we're just going to agree to disagree. Then that's where you have the choice.
Right.
That's where you have to, you have that choice. And sometimes you got to make hard decisions. People want to do the public service work, but if that's where your employer lies and that's where you need to be, if you choose to, then that's where you have to make the choice. But if you increase the salary, then people may be able to say, you know what, I want to do the public service work. It gives you a choice.
Yeah.
So,
Sorry.
I understand what you're saying. I do. I really do.
Sorry, I'm trying to pay attention to the chat and then the text because
Okay.
Councilmember Jurinsky's having
sorry.
trouble. She can hear us.
I'm sorry, Councilmember
can hear you now.
Jurinsky. I didn't mean to take over the conversation.
Oh, no. I just thought, I didn't know if she could hear.
It's just like last study session. I have literally no audio on my laptop. I can hear the entire meeting, but I can't say anything. So I logged off and I'm on my phone now.
Okay.
So what I wanted to say is, I really struggle with this because, you know, all it takes is one bad apple to ruin it for everybody. And we have council members currently on this council that don't even show up to council meetings, don't show up to study sessions, don't serve on any outside boards. And for me, like I said, that one apple ruins it for everybody. And that's not something that I can stomach. I also, you know, have really struggled with the thought that, matter of fact, I think we're paid much. To be honest with you, I would like to see our pay lowered. I think that by the time you add in our travel budget, by the time you add in lavish dinners, all the fancy outings, everything else that goes along, you know, with being on council, I think the only way that I could even remotely consider a pay raise for council is to completely eliminate our travel budget. And if everybody was okay with eliminating our travel budget, putting our travel budget at 0, and if you want to go somewhere, you're on your own for that. I mean, and with a travel budget, I mean, with every trip, I mean, I've been shocked now. I've been on 2 of them, and I get home and I have a per diem check. A per diem check. I didn't have to go on that trip. I got per diem checks in the military when I was voluntarily told I was being sent here or shipped here or going on this mission. I got per diem checks. We volunteer to go on trips, to go on outings, and we get home and there's a per diem check waiting for us. I don't understand that. Truly, I I don't understand that. I see a lot of waste in our budget and with what we're paid. And like I said, the only way that I could consider a pay raise for council is to completely eliminate the travel budget. And again, for me, it takes one bad apple to ruin it for everybody. And we absolutely have one council member right now that there is no way I would stomach a pay raise for.
So on the per diem, I think the concept is if you're out of town on a business trip, council business, that normally if you're home, you can eat at home and you can have your own meal. So, I mean, I think it's really, I'm just saying that the point of that, whether, I mean, I've had them when I worked in corporations as well, whenever you're on a business trip, they don't expect you to pay for your own meals.
I don't come from the corporate world. I've never been in the corporate world. I've been in the military and I've been self-employed. That's all I know. I've paid for absolutely every single thing I own, I've ever done. I've paid for it on my own. Like I said, I was issued some per diem checks when I was in the military and voluntarily told that I was getting shipped here, there, or God knows where. You know, and a lot of times I was issued per diem on those trips was because I was in the middle of nowhere. And sometimes it was a lot harder or, you know, to even get food, or we had to pay more. So I understand. I don't come from the corporate world. That's why, you know, the knowledge that I bring, you know, to this council, I think it's very valuable to the people of Aurora. I know nothing about the corporate world. As a matter of fact, I don't know anything about anybody paying anything for me ever in my life, ever. So there's no way. And like I said, the one council member currently on council alone hangs the whole thing up for me right now. One bad apple ruins it for everybody. And this one council member hangs it completely up for me.
Further discussion? Okay, I guess seeing none, we need to decide whether this is going to move on or move forward.
Well, I'm voting yes for it to move forward to the hearing.
Okay,
I'll support moving it forward to a hearing.
I will as well.
you're not on the committee, Ruben,
Oh, I'm just an audience, sorry.
but I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I personally just can't support it. I respect everybody's opinions, and I think we have different perspectives on public service, and for me, I can't.
I can't either.
Okay, well, thank you, council members and the committee. I know it won't be moving forward to the hearing, but I can bring this to a study session as will, and I will be doing so.
Okay,
Hold on, real quick, Mayor Pro Tem.
yes.
I thought we could just move stuff forward to the hearing anyway. We did that in the past. So,
Oh, yeah, I think it's council members Lawson's prerogative.
yes, her prerogative.
Yes.
Oh, I can bring it to the hearing?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I would like for it to move forward to the hearing then.
Yeah, and if I can just add another thing. As I mentioned earlier, Councilmember Coombs could not be here. She says she would support this due to the market studies, but she's concerned about the proposed mayor and mayor pro tem salary increase. She argues that the mayor and mayor pro tem have different responsibilities, but not necessarily more than council members, and that the salaries should likely be the same across the board.
And actually, I totally agree with Councilmember Coombs. The mayor pro tem salary was way out of whack for me. I didn't understand why, you know, there's a few additional responsibilities, obviously. But
And
I didn't see any justification for it being that high.
And Mayor Pro Tem and the members of the committee, these were just analysis for you. I have not stipulated anything of what the amount would be reasonable to do. These were just market studies based on recommendations. There's nothing in here that I stated right now. I wanted to kind of come through the committee and kind of look at that and maybe look from the hearing perspective to look at these markets. These are nowhere near anything that I would be thinking about, but just trying to get more perspective on that. So if that was what the thought was, that's not what I was bringing here. This was just backup information from our HR department.
Okay. And then your ordinance, will that be ready?
Yes, by the hearing,
Yeah.
yes, it will be.
Okay.
I just didn't put it in here today because I wanted to get perspective and insight from the committee.
Right. And that might help you
Right.
draft it. Okay. All right. Any further discussion?
That's it. Thank you so much for listening, and I appreciate it.
No, it's a good discussion. I think it's good to have that. And the only, I guess we had no other items unless somebody has anything else to add. Okay. All right. Meeting is adjourned.
Thanks, Elle.
Everyone.
Bye.